Right, so in this video we're going to be doing a cold weather test, a very cold weather test of the VFC version 2 gas blowback MP5. I've played with it pretty cold before, like in February, but it was not this cold. Like, I can see my breath. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. Yeah, it's been cold, but it's not been quite this cold. So we're going to see how many mags it can go through on one fill of gas. We're going to see how the mags perform when they get cold, how the gun performs, how the nozzle performs and stuff when it gets cold. It's just the stock, everything inside the gun's blown stock still at the moment. This is probably the last test I'm going to do before I start upgrading things like the hop-up rubber and putting the end pass nozzle in. VFC are doing, all of their guns seem to have end passes as standard now, but this just missed, the MP5 just missed the boat on that feature. I'm going to give it a bit of a chrono test. We are using green gas today. In previous videos on this and on a lot of my other VFC gas blowback guns, I use duster gas in them just to keep the FPS down, and that allows me to like run it bone stock for a bit longer. But today we're going to be using green gas, give it a bit more of a chance to get through the cold weather. I will chrono it in the cold on green gas and point 2s. I'm pretty sure I've got 2s in here. It might be obvious that they're 2.5s at some point. If it is, I'll point that out. This is just a bunch of BBs I had that in some high cap magazines that have been in there for God knows how long. I haven't used high caps in forever. The MP5 is set up with the SEF grip, an ICS flashlight that kind of looks all M-locky, and the AMG UH1 Vortex hollow sight on like a 1.5 centimeter riser. It's quite tall, but it means I can use my irons. I can probably find something that's not quite as tall, but it still means I can fall to my irons without having to remove the optic and stuff, which I like. It's got the collapsible stock that it came with on there this time. Alright, so yeah, as I said, I'm using green gas. I'm going to give all the mags a proper pump now, and then I'm going to try and steer clear of using it if possible. So the mag is out in the elements, it's cold. The ones on my chest, the same. They've been out here since while I've been setting up the filming and everything, they've just been out here on me or on the table. So they have been out in the cold a little bit already. Same with the gas, it's been in the bag. Like in my previous video, I keep my gas wrapped up in a coat in my bag, usually. The mags hold a lot of gas, so be careful. Maybe when the temperature does change, start to count how much gas is going into your mag so that you're not overfilling. I have 5, typically 5 is plenty. I always run out of BBs before I run out of gas in the mags, put it that way. I carry enough full speed loaders on me usually. When they're full to the brim, they don't rattle around as much, and then I only use them when I've got 3 mags, because they take 90 BBs. Once I've got 3 30 round mags ready to fill up, I'll use it all in one go, so I avoid rattling around. Okay, let's top this one back up. Right, so we're just going to do a little chrono first. .280, 287, 281, 288, 282, 284, 283, 283. Cool. Yeah, I feel like these, it could be 0.25s in there. I'll change mags and give it another go. .299, 297, 296. Yeah, so you get around 300 FPS. I know the hop is set for 3.2s, so that could be bringing it down a little bit. I'm pretty sure these are 2.5s, so do that calculation, see where you're at. You should be fine running green gas in them in the cold like this. One of the mags seemed a little spicier than the other, probably because one's been sat out or one's a bit colder or whatever. Gonna see how it does. Let's finish off this mag first. one. No problems there really. Rattle through that. Let's see what a full auto dump is like. Oh. Doesn't like that. There'll be bees in that mag. So I'm thinking in the cold, full auto, not your friend. When you've only got 30 rounds and you're used to running around with gas blower rifles anyway, you're not really full autoing people because you've only got 30 rounds in your mag. It's not like a practical test doing that, I don't think, but it is. It's good to see how well these mags do when they're cold. I'm gonna move on to another magazine, back to semi. Not very good on gas at the moment. Let's try a different one. That was a double tapping because it didn't have enough gas to cycle properly. As is that one. That's more better. Little chug there, but it clears that magazine. 2 mags have done 1 full load. Not fantastic. Double tap there. And again. This is not the 3-round burst blower. Should not be doing that. Okay, clip them out. So far it's pretty inconsistent. These skinny little steel magazines do not like the cold. And I have a feeling maybe the nozzle also doesn't really like the cold, or the hot rubber or something. Accuracy wise, they're still staying pretty consistent, but I'm quite disappointed that it's double tapping on semi-auto. And it's only going to get worse. And again, double tapping, not good. So it shouldn't be doing that. It shouldn't be doing that sort of short strokey burst on semi-auto. That's because it's too cold to function properly. The valve in the nozzle's not opening up correctly and closing correctly because it's cold. And it's to be expected. So far, 3 of the mags I've got 1 okay, like acceptable empty out of. That feels more better. Double tap there, but that was still much better. And empty. Cool, so there's going to be a lot of icy cold gas inside that at the moment, which is not ideal. One of the magazines, I think this is the one that I full autoed. I've left it to sit on the table for a bit. It's still out in the cold, but it's not having that cool down effect of that cold gas going through it and it firing off and stuff. So it's sort of replenished itself a little bit, but it seems like, and I haven't touched my gas. I've not touched my gas, I've not topped it up at all. So let's carry on going with this. Empty. Cool. Another one, one that vented a bit too much after doing a lot of spluttering with that sort of short strokey double tap thing. Let's see how this goes. Cool, finished that one off. This last one, I'm really not too sure about. It feels really cold. Cool, yeah, no, that one's out of gas. Sorry, 3 magazines that have done one definitely for sure, 1 full load. Another one here, this is the one that spluttered last. I can already tell there's not enough gas in there. No, that one's out of gas. Okay, the best thing about this MP5 is the mags are so easy to reload. You don't need a speed loader adapter or anything. You just pinch your fingers together and squirt them in through the hole. Alright, so we've got 3 mags ready to go. The other 2 I am going to re-gas and give them sort of like a second go. So I'm going to keep them separate and try and keep track of them as well. So maybe help me keep track of them. If I fuck this up and I confuse them, let me know. We are going to let these sit for a bit. I don't want to over-gas them, so it was still whistling there a little bit. That's that. So we've got 2 that I've restarted on their second pump of gas, and then 3 that are still on their first pump of gas that have all done a mag. I think one of them maybe did 2, but we'll say that they've all done 1, right? So this is one of the ones that's on its first charge of gas. Feels a lot weaker, the trigger feels a lot less crisp. Oh. Will it get through this second mag? Again, I am on semi-auto, it should not be doing this. So it cleared that mag, but for example, if you're playing CQB and you're on semi-auto only, you do really want to be careful of that happening and it double tapping people. I mean, it's not going to be double tapping them very hard, but it will be enough to piss people off indoors and make people shout about it. So, okay, mag 2, gas charge 1, BB fill 2. That feels better. Oh, spoke too soon. Not good. Out. So I just gave in there. Again, there's going to be a lot of silicone and cold liquid gas down my barrel now that's going to be a bit of a pain to crack through. I'm going to count those out now. So neither one emptied their second load of BBs. Just going to pop some gas in there to store them, keep them in my rig. I do still have the 2 that I have sort of restarted, so I can go to them and give this one that's done 2 full BB loads on 1 load of gas, give that a break. Not good. Much better, much better. Cool. Emptied. Now I'm going to put a bit of that down to what's going on in the gun now as well. As you recall, there will be a lot of liquid cold gas inside the inner workings that's going to sort of hang things up a little bit. But this is all what you should expect if you decide to try and run your gas blowback out when it's this cold. All that double tapping in this mag and the last one was because I had the gun on full auto like a lemon. My bad. Okay, that's not. Cool. When it does those little double tappy dumps, it does barely spit the BBs very far. We'll see if we can get a 3rd load of BBs out of this magazine. I'm not sure why they're performing differently, but you know, some science is probably the reason why, right? Just different temperatures being used a different amount. I don't know. This isn't the most controlled experiment. See if we can get a third load of BBs off this one charge of gas in this mag. I'm not too hopeful. Let's go back to the one that's already done 2. Ah, off the bat, bad. So what, like 2.5 rounds, 2.5 full mags on 1 charge of gas out in the cold like this. Not ideal conditions at all. But cool. So I don't know if you can see, these are icy cold. They're all pretty frozen over now. Not ideal at all. So what can I say? I mean, if you're playing in winter and you really want to use your gas blowback MP5 in this cold, take a backup. Have something with you that you can use as a backup, so you're not just going to ruin your day when your gun gets too cold to use. You can't keep your mags warm enough to use, and it all just kind of goes to shit. I think with enough magazines and like proper management of your gas consumption and stuff, you could run it throughout the year. You could run it when it's this cold. It might be stressful. You might worry every time you're facing your opponent if you're going to pull the trigger, if your gun's going to work properly. It is doable. You can get, you know, on average like about 2 mags worth of BBs on 1 load of gas, which is better than a lot of other gas blowback guns work in the summer. I recommend having a winter gun, light and reliable, and maybe electric. It's maybe not as fun as running a gas blowback. It's going to keep you in the game having fun longer. You don't want your equipment to ruin your game day. We don't all get to play every single week, and when we do, if we have a shitty time, it kind of like ruins it for however long. It's about keeping it fun, keeping it practical. In the winter, in December, this cold, this is not the most practical thing to use. I will do some similar tests for the VFC V3 AR platform guns that I've got. As for the MP5, fucking amazing gun most of the year. I wouldn't personally run it when it's this cold out. Having an NGRS as the next best thing is perfectly acceptable. You still get a nice little jolt, a nice bit of recoil, like feedback every time you pull the trigger. It still stops on empty. You have to cock it, you have to do all the kinetic clickety clackety manual of arms stuff. It's still a lot of fun. Not as fun as the gas blowback aspect, obviously, but it is still fun, and it's a great stand-in for these when it is too cold. Probably gonna get one because I like running MP5 indoors. Different, depends where you're at as well. Like, you're kind of out of the elements. Most indoor places don't really have like heating and stuff on. Some might, I don't know. So you might have a bit more luck, but yeah, you are going to need to watch when the mags do get cold and the operation of the gun does get too cold and the system gets cold. That double tap thing, you're on top of that. You're keeping your mags gassed up and stuff so that they're not doing that. Staying off that trigger a bit, giving your gun time to sort of ease up with the effects of cool down and have it not so drastic. Obviously when we're just clacking off rounds one after the other after the other after the other, it's not exactly like real game type scenario really. It's definitely more extreme on the gun. I mean, you've seen it, gas blowback SMG with these skinny little mags that made of steel and get really cold. Probably not the place for them this time of year. I'm gonna try and empty these mags. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.